Store for details. Customers enjoy the stress-free and satisfactory experience Cherry Hill Volvo provides. Cherry Hill Volvo, where relationships matter.
With so much uncertainty in the world today, you may find yourself wondering, is now even the right time to retire?
And so many people are waiting, and those folks are going to be waiting a really long time, I hate to say, because there's no perfect time. The market is always unpredictable and volatile.
Fortunately, Jim Cipriotti has been helping get people to, through, and beyond retirement for over 25 years. And each week, he wants to help give you that freedom to retire. Listen to Freedom to Retire with Jim Cipriotti, Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday afternoons at 5 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Is your kitchen or bathroom in need of a makeover?
It's time to transform your home into a personal oasis with Emmons Remodeling.
Our expert team specializes in kitchen and bathroom renovations, creating beautiful, functional spaces you and your family will love. We handle everything from design to installation.
So call us today at 856-885-6677 or visit callemmons.com. From top to bottom,
To inside and out.
at Emmons, we have you covered.
There's breaking news all day long from around the world, and sometimes all that noise makes it hard to hear about what's happening right here at home. With the free Odyssey app, getting your local news plus breaking news is easy. And even when you're not near a radio, stay connected with what's going on right here by listening live and push alerts. Just download the free Odyssey app and search and follow your local news station, and you're good to go. The local breaking news to get you through your day at your fingertips on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Breaking news as we get updates for our friends and loved ones and fellow Americans and Tony Bruno and Miss Robin on the Gulf side, the west side of Florida. So my poll question, I never do this, is should Tony and Miss Robin evacuate their evacuation zone?
Get out!
Please, 855-839-1210 and put it on social media and please advise. I'm so worried. I can't even tell you. I was in the hallway. I was like, oh, my goodness. So this thing is only 2 miles below. It was a Category 5 until within the last, hour or so. And now it's only diminished about 2 miles an hour before striking the Gulf Coast of Florida. So we'll continue to update. But that is a scary thing as you look at the path. And it's a pretty wide path. The bottom, in other words, the southernmost point of it is Cape Coral, where Tony and Miss Robin are. And then the north, it's going to encompass, obviously, Tampa, the metro Tampa area. And so the immediate threat is at least 9 million people. So, my goodness. I can't wait for this interview with Eric Trump, who's going to join me live in half an hour at 10:30. So you want to make sure you hear that. And I do want to talk about and address some of these stories that we're hearing. I know we touched upon them, but, Bob Woodward selling another book. And this is somebody who is famous, obviously, for the Watergate scandal and his deep throat source. And ultimately, this guy, he's been trying to oust Republican presidents his entire career, you might say, if you look back and think about it. Yeah. But he claims to have a source that he's not naming, to my knowledge, one source who's allegedly a former aide within the Trump administration. I don't know if this is somebody who has, again, hearsay or what, but claims that that former President Trump during the COVID pandemic was sending, I guess, mailing, as if Trump would, what would he do? How would he, I'm just trying to picture this, like, excuse me, I have to go to FedEx. And how does that look? Like you have the COVID test and now you are putting it in an envelope, like a FedEx envelope and, from America to Russia with love. How does that work? So I guess the Kremlin the top spokesperson has said that they absolutely, that Trump and Putin, since Trump is out of office, have never had any conversations, saying that is a lie. They did say, and I'm quote, this was a statement to Bloomberg in particular, quote, we that they received or that they sent They said that they sent equipment at the beginning of the pandemic. So saying they sent, meaning somebody from the Trump administration sent quote unquote equipment. So that, to me, I don't know exactly what that looks like. So but the Kremlin's top spokesperson has said on one hand that that's a lie, that Woodward would say that they ever had any phone conversations post-Trump presidency. But they do say that some kind of equipment at the beginning of the pandemic was sent to the Kremlin. That's all I have on that one. So we do have some reaction to that, but not really any specifics. So we'll look at that one. It's just somebody, again, right before an election trying to profit off of, making sure that their book is a bestseller and they get their bonus and they make millions.
Even Reddit, far-left Reddit was annoyed with it because they were saying, why would Woodward wait? Why would he sit on this information until it's valuable to sell a book? Yeah. And he had this, and they were saying, they should have done it when it mattered a couple of years ago and people would have listened. But no, it doesn't matter. He's just trying to sell books. It's ridiculous. I just got a question for you as a journalist yourself, as someone who's spent a ton of time in media. A lot today about, it's an unnamed source, so how can we believe it? But a lot of journalistic integrity comes down to when you have a source, you don't want to reveal said source. So where do you stand in today's world, social media environment, and you have a report like this? If you're Woodward and you're sitting in a situation, what would you do?
I would want to track down records because, again, the president of the United States of America is not doing what we all do, right? Which is we get the envelope. Right? We get it. I don't even know, how do you send something to Russia because it's international? You have to have the international
my
address.
assumption would be is that he found a cargo jet using the military and loaded it with boxes of supplies, pallets, and did a pallet kind of
right.
drop
So
off over there or something
what
like
you're
that.
saying makes a lot of sense, and so you would have a ton of records of that. There would be, right, because you're somehow shipping it to somebody.
Is the current way you're like what you're saying? It's like he's in a dark room in the back, licking envelopes, sending them without anybody knowing, and using the U.S. Postal Service, and so there's got to be some record somewhere.
Yeah, and so that's with all of this there, and even with Putin. So that's my question: how did he carry that out, and more about the sourcing. And so, look, I can claim anything. I can claim any source. And people love, especially in D.C., they love to impress. I got to meet with Bob Woodward and we went to whatever restaurant, right? And so that's impressive. So will this source come forward? Will this source be named? Apparently, this is an unnamed source. And so if you have something like that, what you have to do is the rule is you have 3 sources. If you're so you need somebody to corroborate something. But in this case, I would not even, there's so many never Trumpers and Trump haters around. I mean, think of Vindman, who's now, they're running for office, and you see that they're totally swampsters and Democrat operatives. And so to be a credible journalist, what you would want to do is track down records. Yeah. So if somebody slipped something on and Dan Borowski nailed it, there's got to, what FedEx plane or cargo plane, how did this go out? Because there's a record somewhere. So that's the tangible evidence that you would want.
All we have here is a potential forlorn employee who was fired, maybe. I don't know who it is. But that's exactly what it is. I hate that guy. He's such a horrible person. That one time he sent those COVID tests over to Putin. He's such a so much in Vlad's pocket. Like we don't know how it was said. It could have been said in jest even. So you have one source allegedly here. So yes, give me a paper trail. Show me some kind of evidence here, and you know what? Then I'll buy it.
But guess what? Off the top, what are we talking about? Bob Woodward's new book, which I would never buy.
Oh, you're right.
But he lives off of his work in the 1970s. That's it. The veteran, every story starts out with the award-winning veteran Watergate reporter, Bob Woodward, ... And so this is somebody who, continues to sell books and get rich off of it. But they're saying that Trump secretly sent coveted COVID-19 testing machines. What does that mean? Testing machines to Putin for personal use when they were in short supply. And this is by all accounts being dismissed and refuted by the Trump campaign. But his book is entitled War, and it includes the claim that then President Trump was secretly staying in touch with Putin. How does that sound? Hey, Putin, it's me. I'm calling you from the closet. It's just like, really? So, and there are a lot of former disgruntled employees. There was a climate, because remember, everybody said, oh, Trump is done. He's done. He's washed up. He's never coming back. That was widely what everybody said. And so all these different people now, they can go to the cocktail party, right, where everybody wears their black turtleneck and their jacket. And they all go, oh, yeah, I used to I can't believe I worked for that administration. And they're all trying to top each other in their stories, right? And so this is always, oh, yeah, well, I heard he was sending Putin some COVID tests when they were coveted. Oh, yeah? Well, I heard... ... So,
in her long media blitz yesterday, Kamala Harris, appealing on The View, Howard Stern, Stephen Colbert, was asked about it. Here's her response in Stern on.
In the height of the pandemic, and remember, and your listeners will remember, people were dying by the hundreds.
Yeah.
Everybody was scrambling to get these kits, the tests, the COVID test kits.
You couldn't get them.
Couldn't get them.
Right.
Couldn't get them anywhere.
Right.
And this guy who is president of the United States is sending them to Russia, to a murderous dictator for his personal use? You're getting played. And some would say, look, I grew up in the neighborhood. Some would say you're getting punked.
Yeah.
If you stand in favor of somebody who's an adversary over your friends.
Yeah, so what was she doing during the COVID pandemic? The Democrats locked us down and ordered people who were sick with COVID to go into nursing homes, killing thousands. And those were our high death tolls that happened here in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York. Where are those investigations? So if you want to talk about COVID, okay, let's open that. Let's open that back up. Let's revisit it. Let's investigate everything that happened, including those arbitrary lockdowns that have essentially teed off a mental health crisis with our children. My kids were in grade school. They were, thankfully, the nuns found every way to bring them back in person. But because we're in Philadelphia, they were locking our children out of classrooms. And we still see the catastrophic impact of that. If you want to know what leadership looks like, I'm looking up right now. I don't know if you want to take a nanosecond of this, because I do want to get to Melania Trump speaking live on the 5 on Fox yesterday.
Yeah, let's hit this live, then hit a break, and we'll get to Melania.
11 and 5. We didn't have any real surprises.
Oh, that's not what. Okay, so let me see if I can do that. Yeah, sorry.
So I see that Governor DeSantis is saying that he wants to keep the energy coming, keep people
Those
in power.
Those linemen are being
areas.
brought in from places as far away as California. So as soon as that storm passes, you're going to see the assessments and the power restoration efforts commence immediately. Additionally, the state of Florida has assisted with the evacuation of 352 healthcare facilities in the potential path of the storm. 16 hospitals have been evacuated. The state veteran nursing homes are currently located that are in the cone, are all accepting families of their residents to shelter with them. All of those are hurricane proof. All of them are outside of flood zones. So if you do have a family member that's in one of our state nursing homes, you can go and you can shelter with them. That's a safe option, and I know the veterans would appreciate it.
That's pretty awesome.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement is directing deployment of additional 500 out-of-state law enforcement officers. These officers will help respond after the storm to maintain law and order. And there is going to be a lot of damage from this storm. There's going to be opportunities for people to try to take advantage of that. My message to you is don't even think about it. We are going to come down hard on you. You are not going to you're going to regret that you tried to do that. So I appreciate all the other folks from out of state who are coming in to supplement this effort. We need to maintain law and order. FDLE's mutual aid team is managing more than 70 active law enforcement missions, including identifying post-storm response squads, and these are really important missions, and we're happy for that. So we're preparing for Milton, but we're also still recovering from Hurricane Helene. When Hurricane Helene hit, we reactivated the Florida Disaster Fund. We are now accepting donations into the Florida Disaster Fund for both storms, both Helene and for Milton. This is a private fund. It's affiliated with the state in terms of disaster, but it's tax deductible donations. We distributed $63 million after Hurricane Ian to help people largely in Southwest Florida. This is something that is really, really important. So I've directed Volunteer Florida to keep the fund activated for Hurricane Milton. I want to thank, there's already been millions raised for Helene. I want to thank Lennar, Wells Fargo, Walmart, and Publix for making really significant donations. And I know there's going to be a lot more that are going to want to do it.
Yeah, it's nice to hear Florida Governor Ron DeSantis talking about how they prepared, thanking those who've donated to help people, and as well then what is the plan moving forward. And that's what leadership looks like.
So head over to youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Please go like and subscribe. Currently have a poll going as you requested there, Dawn.
Thank you.
If you were listening to Kale this morning, should Tony evacuate? 78% say yes so far.
Yes, please. And put it out. Let's put this out on social media and try to even appeal to Tony and Miss Roberts, to the kids, the grown-up kids, to say, get out now, please. You're not a hero. And they're smart. I think that they were leaning toward it. Yeah. So they have until 1 o'clock. That's when they said they're going to make their decision. But I'm just praying for everybody down there. We'll have all of the updates, obviously, throughout the day, throughout the evening. Want to get to Melania Trump. And then Eric Trump will join us live at 10:30. Thanks for being here. 855-839-1210. Be right back.
This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. You may know me from my book, Money Hacks. You may know me from my radio shows. And you may even know me from some of these commercials. But listen, I'm teaching stuff that people need to learn about money. In fact, my favorite topic is money. So go to investorschooling.com and you will learn things about money that you never even knew existed. We will teach you things about real estate, about the stock market, and about how to use your IRAs properly. Go to investorschooling.com and sign up for a complimentary class this Thursday night at 7 o'clock. That's investorschooling.com. This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. Are you tired of hearing about the recession that's coming? Are you prepared for it? Well, listen, at investorschooling.com, we're going to teach you ways to prepare for the recession that you didn't even know existed. We're going to teach you strategies on how to use real estate. We're going to teach you strategies how to use the stock market properly. That's right, you can even make money in the stock market when the stock market goes down. Hey, go to investorschooling.com and register for a free class this Thursday night, and you will learn all of these techniques. Go to investorschooling.com right now, RSVP for this Thursday. We'll see you there.
Harry, if you watch any more of those stupid financial shows, I'm filing for divorce.
How am I going to keep up with our retirement accounts?
At JML Financial Group, we want you watching your grandkids playing soccer and sunsets in Hawaii, not the latest rumor of a market crash. Surprisingly, with proper income planning, the stock market shouldn't even be a concern. The money came in every 2 weeks while you worked. It should be the same in your retirement years. Let us show you how. Call JML Financial Group today at 856-925-6674. That's 856-925-6674. Or at jmlfinancialgroup.com. So, when your neighbor's sunbathing in the front yard,
Harry, you're an idiot. Get away from the window.
keep your eyes focused where they should be, on enjoying your retirement. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. For years, I've talked about the health benefits of Rescue Natural Supplements after making their omega-3s a part of my daily routine. From supporting heart health to providing pain relief, they provide essential nutrients that impact our bodies in so many ways. Listen to this recent comment from Carol. She says triglycerides are at an all-time low and increase my well-being, while joint pains and muscle aches have decreased too. People like Carol have trusted Rescue with their health goals, and now it's your turn. For a limited time, use the code OMEGA50 for an exclusive buy one, get one free offer on any of the 7 Rescue Omega-3 choices. To get this special radio offer, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483, or use the code online at res-q.com, res-q.com. Remember, use that code OMEGA50, OMEGA50, to buy one and get another Rescue Omega-3 absolutely free.
Hey girl, it's your new night guy, Jimmy Fallon in the house from 7 to 10 p.m. on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and free on the Odyssey app.
Here we are.
Would you have married Donald Trump if you had a crystal ball that said he would be president?
That's a interesting question.
By the way, does he ever sleep?
Yes. He doesn't sleep much. He does, of course.
Does he wear
needs
pajamas?
to. No.
No.
Oh.
What does he wear when he sleeps, Melania?
Well, one of the things she does get into in the book, Greg, since I've read it and you haven't, obviously, the first date.
Yes.
And how he courted you, and that courtship was very special. These are just many of the things you reveal in the book.
So Melania Trump, looking fabulous, was on the 5, and I will say, I always, I do watch the 5. I'm listening to Zioli, I swear. And so it was great, though. It was great stuff. So I was trying to, and then I was driving to the great event in media, Delco, packed event.
Wait, hold on. So paint a picture for me. You're listening to Zioli. Do you have the 5 on the phone? And
yeah, so I have the 5. I have all of it. So I'm listening to Zioli, and he too acknowledged on the air because I had tweeted all of that out, put all that out. So then he. He said, "Okay, thanks, Dawn, for listening to me while you're watching the 5," and it was kind of cute. Oh. And what I didn't tweet out was as I was driving and Zioli was talking, I see this rainbow. It's like ha ha for Zioli, so I should have done that. But great event, and everybody at the event heard Zioli talking about it too.
I just want to take people behind the scenes. Your relationship with Rich is just absolutely phenomenal. Rich comes in, just says such great things about you, and it's wonderful that even though you guys don't work together on a daily basis, you guys still have such care for one another.
Yeah, no, I love him. He's like a brother to me, and I always say I'm still Zioli's Padawan. I still am learning because obviously this was a big career change for me. He and Greg were the ones like, come on, and he was like, emailing me back and forth. Come on, what are you doing? You gotta, because they didn't have a news person. It was a created position for Zioli. He was on the afternoons with Greg, so they created that position for me, and that was pretty cool. But it was a huge transition. You know what I mean? Yeah. So. But no, he's like so funny, and my own transition. But no, we do. I love him and keep in touch. And I heard him say, host. I know, right? I'm a trans radio host. Yeah, that's it. But no, I do love him. I heard him talking about Bridget. I can't wait to see Bridget's new teeth. I'm sure she didn't appreciate. I don't know if she likes. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Sometimes you can't help it when you're on the air so many hours and you say stuff, and then your better half is like, really? Yeah. And then you forget, like, I said that?
It's like the credit card comment yesterday with Larry.
Shh, what? What?
What comment was that?
So there's a lot about Melania, and obviously they weren't, unlike The View with the Vice President of the United States of America, you can tell that Gutfeld, this is off the cuff. Does he wear pajama? Great question, by the way. Gutfeld has great questions.
Is that a great image to paint, though? Trump, because when he asks what does he wear, Melania just it's a video thing where she just does the zipper mouth kind of thing. I know.
It's like, no doubt. But then so the fact that he doesn't, because there was no follow up there, they shut him up before because does he BVDs, boxers in the nude? Like what?
I think in the nude.
I think that's what I inferred. So that's.
I apologize, Melania.
What if they? Well, anyway. Barron Trump, the love of her life, and by the way, she's an empty nester mom right now, right? Because the focus of her life, like we've talked a lot about that, empty nesters, but her son, who's a teenager, she's probably worried sick, and he's at NYU, so I know she feels. Like, well, they still have a place in New York, obviously in Trump Tower, so they can go anytime. But still, I mean, come on, that's your baby, right?
Is he living on campus, do you know? Or is he living up at the tower?
Oh, that's a good question. I cannot imagine Secret Service would allow him. What, is he going to be like in the dorm?
Yeah, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With like the little mini fridge? You know what I mean? I don't think so. I think that was probably a stipulation. especially after Butler, Pennsylvania, right?
A show on Netflix called The Night Agent, where one of the Secret Service agents protects a vice presidential candidate's daughter at college. And it's kind of that situation where she's in a dorm and they have to stand outside the dorm room when she changes and stuff. And
watched that. Luckily, this is not, in that one, she's kind of woke and it's kind of crazy.
If you're wondering, here's how Barron's doing, Dawn.
My question, how's Barron doing at NYU?
He's doing great. He loves his classes and his professors. He's doing well. He's thriving and he's enjoying to be in New York City again.
Yeah, so remember, he pretty much grew up between the White House and New York City. What an awesome life. And Trump had told us here when we interviewed him on, that was Nick Cale's question about Barron and, that he's 18. He had just turned 18 last spring. So thinking about what an incredible life this kid, great student, and loves these streamers that are conservative. That's what we learned about him, influencing dad on the election. These are smart, smart kids. What else have you got on Melania?
Yeah, so talking about Eric coming up and influencing dad, and I'm curious where he was during the assassination attempt, but just right to the point, Janine Pirro asked whether or not Melania is concerned for the safety of her husband with these, lead up to the election. Take a listen.
Has survived 2 assassination attempts. And Kamala's camp has just issued yesterday that they're going to go more negative. The Biden-Harris team continues with the negative rhetoric, whether it's Hitler or, he's tearing down democracy. Are you worried about your husband's safety in the next 29 days?
Of course I do. Yes, I do. I think, when they call him he's a threat to democracy, let's ask ourselves, who is really a threat to democracy? They are ongoing with the lawfare against the former president, as well as trying to get him off the voting ballots and trying to, silence him. So, yes, of course, I was always afraid what can happen, and that they continuing with that kind of language is just, it's a toxic atmosphere.
So there you have the former First Lady of the United States of America, and it's really off the cuff. I would love to see the Vice President of the United States in an environment like that, surrounded by, by the way, news people, most of them will judge. Janine was a judge, obviously, and prosecutor, but these are smart individuals asking legit questions, and clearly nothing was scripted, and it was all live. It was a great interview, and it was interesting and compelling. I'm sure the ratings are huge, but I just wonder what your take is as far as her book. And by the way, they've said she could write whatever she wanted to, and that she's an independent thinker, clearly. So your thoughts on Melania Trump? I mean, I think she's such a beautiful, great, that I'm a huge fan of hers. Beautiful, gracious, former First Lady. And when she stepped on that stage at the RNC, right after Butler, right after the assassination attempt, when our former president was shot, you just knew, okay, everything's okay. You saw that smile, and she took his hand. But it was a moment, right, where people were getting a little verklempt, as I say. So we have to get to Eric Trump is going to be here in just a few minutes. Excited to hear his stories of, returning to Butler and then beyond. Let's talk about the Piazza Auto Group and Piazza Premium Automobiles, because I know this weekend we'll be doing some road trips, football season, tailgating. But if you're planning that fall trip, maybe to see the beautiful change of the fall leaves, and maybe you want to make sure that your vehicle's road trip ready, my friends at Piazza Premium Automobiles, they're going to help you make sure you and your family are safe out on the road. So important. These service centers of the Piazza Premium dealers not only handle all your regular maintenance needs, but they will diagnose possible issues before they can happen, before you hit the road. So just schedule your service appointment online today. Do this. Visit PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com for that dealer nearest you, and they're across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. PIAZZA. PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
When you
you need to know. Depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
It's now or never for the Phillies. They need to beat the Mets tonight to keep their season alive after last night's 7-2 loss. There's a national IV shortage forcing hospitals in our area to ration supplies. And Mayor Parker visited a South Philly elementary school to see her extended day programs in action.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Support the Evesham Township Police Foundation. See Joe Conklin and the City Rhythm Orchestra at Cherokee High School in Marlton, Saturday, October 26th.
Conklin doing his thing, his best voices, his best shtick. Joe's family is just, they're like back from the Osmonds. They're Osmonds on steroids. They're unbelievable.
They made fun of the Cowboys, though. I've known him for such a long time, but I did not know he could sing like that.
That's Conklin with City Rhythm at Cherokee High School in Marlton, New Jersey, October 26th. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com. joeconklin.com!
Are you worried about the state of the economy? Concerned about market crashes and rising inflation wiping out your savings? At Noble Gold Investments, we understand your fears and have a solution. Call us today at 1-888-403-1050. Imagine safeguarding you and your family with a tangible asset that has stood the test of time. Gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can diversify your portfolio and protect your wealth from economic turmoil. Our team will guide you through the process, ensuring you make informed decisions that best suit your needs. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 1-888-403-1050. That's 1-888-403-1050. The future is uncertain. Take control now. Call 1-888-403-1050.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Lee Greenwood, God bless the USA. What an emotional moment for the return to Butler, Pennsylvania, and to celebrate the life of hero firefighter who was killed that day, Corey Comparator, his widow there, his daughters, his family, and as well, what a beautiful tribute from former President Donald J. Trump on the stage returning. It was a triumphant return and so much energy and so much love. I was at a great event last night in media in Delaware County, and everybody was talking about it. I'm just really delighted to bring in live Eric Trump, who I want to first of all welcome you to the Dawn Show, Eric. And I know that your dad is here in Pennsylvania once again campaigning here in PA.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dawn. It's an honor to be here, and you're right. Butler was absolutely incredible. I spoke at that rally. It's something I really want to do. Obviously, seeing your father get shot on a stage, and and then returning. I was with Corey's family. I was with his wife. I was with his daughters, beautiful daughters, and it was just an emotional day. And but I've never seen so much love in that crowd. I mean, I got up on that stage for Laura, and I couldn't see the end of the crowd. There must have been over 100,000 people there. I mean, I literally couldn't see the end of the crowd, and it was so beautiful and so much love and so much respect and gratitude for our country. It was just a truly beautiful day. As sad as it was, obviously, given what happened to Corey and really what happened to our nation that day.
Yeah, it's true, and I think it was healing for people. You think about fight, 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 and returning to the scene of the crime, literally. I know that, and speaking of which, there's no slowdown with your family, with your dad. So today in Pennsylvania, Scranton, 3 p.m., Reading, 7 p.m. for a big rally. I have to ask you, after witnessing that, I mean, your dad, there have been 2 assassination attempts. He was shot that day. Every time there's one of these rallies, and this was in Pennsylvania, is there a fear, a prayer, and for your wife who's out there front and center, your family?
Yeah. Listen, we all have threats against us right now. I think my father's been, it's not something normally I talk about or anybody talks about. But my father kind of mentioned it the other day on X. He wrote a long thing. I mean, there are countries that are trying to get him, and there are people that are trying to get him. I mean, you saw 2 in a 6-week period of time. It's unthinkable. It's absolutely unthinkable. And it breaks my heart as a son, right? I mean, I had a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. My son and daughter are sitting on my lap watching their grandfather on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Beautiful day in Pennsylvania that day, and all of a sudden you see blood streaming down his face, and he's on the ground, and Secret Service agents are all over him. He's in a dark suit. You didn't know if he got hit in the torso. You didn't know if he was dead. It's not something that anybody wants to go through. And it's not just me as a son. It's an entire country. A country that absolutely loves a man and adores a man, and a man that never stops fighting. And Don, when he stood up and did the whole fight, that was one of the most incredible scenes of my life, and maybe of United States political history. But I think you're right. I think you just said a word that I'm not sure if I've heard anybody say yet, which was healing. I think going back to Butler really was healing, and I think that's why you had 100,000+ people who showed up that day. It was healing. It was healing for the nation. It was probably healing for him. It was. I'm not sure if anything could heal Corey's family, who we've gotten to know so well. But I can tell you how appreciative that they were, and certainly how much it meant to them. The way he was honored that day, and so it was beautiful, despite obviously the tragedy of the day.
In a moment, I do want to ask you about his political opponent, who's also running for president, and her reaction. But I just want to ask you a timeline question, Eric, and that is a timeline that people don't talk about often. That is that before July 13th, 2024, I'll take you to July 14th, 2022. A lot of people forget what you have been through personally, your children, your family, with the tragic death of your beautiful mother, Ivana Trump, who I had the blessing of interviewing early in my career, actually, during one of her book tours. What a gracious, beautiful, brilliant businesswoman. I'm so sorry for your loss. And to have that happen, oh my goodness, 2 years, I just thought when that happened July 13th, I was praying for your family. I thought, my God, the Trump family, you just lost your mom almost to the day 2 years prior to July 13th, 2024. Just thinking about what you've been through.
It was virtually the same day. It was virtually the same day, as you said, 2 years apart, and there's no question that she was looking down. It's amazing. They had a beautiful relationship, and Don, it's another beautiful question because rarely do people ask this, but it's so rare in life that you see two people who got divorced a long time ago and just maintain an absolute love and affinity for one another, and that was my mother and my father. I mean, my mom adored, absolutely adored, my father, all the way through. And I mean, when do you really hear of that happen? Most of the time, it's the exact opposite. They detest, right? And I thought it was such a beautiful thing. He was there for her in so many, moments where she needed it, and and she was there for him in so many. And they goaded her. I mean, Dawn, they goaded her. You'd have CNN on her doorstep every single night. Please say something bad about Donald Trump. Please, we'll give you the mic. We'll give you this. We'll give you that. And every single time she'd come out and say, hey, it might not have worked out on the husband-wife front, but that man will be a damn good president. You watch. You mark my words. And she would say it with that unbelievable, beautiful accent that she had that everybody probably remembers from the First Wives Club. And it was just she is a remarkable woman. But listen, I think she'd be more proud of him now than ever before, and I think she is looking down right now. I mean, we have a country that has serious problems. We have a country that has serious problems. I mean, Kamala 2 days ago came out and said, all the residents in North Carolina who were affected by the storm are going to get $750. I mean, $750, Don. Their entire houses, their houses were washed down rivers. Their homes were taken out by mudslides. Every belonging that they had ever known, every item, every teddy bear that their kid had. Yeah. Gone in half a second. Kamala comes out and says you get $750, and yet we give $200 billion to Ukraine. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. We give hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars to countries all around the world, countries that detest us. We gave $150 billion to Iran. Obama did, a country that literally chants death to America and is launching missiles every single day at our greatest ally. And yet, Kamala comes out and says, yes, I'd like to give $750 to the family who just lost everything, lost their cars, lost their home, lost their belongings, everything. I mean, the TV in their house is worth more than that. And, we have a country that's totally unaffordable. Everything's unaffordable. Car insurance, mortgage rates. I mean, mortgage rates under my father were 2.5%. Look at them now; they're 8%. I mean, rent in this country is absolutely unaffordable. Property insurance, groceries, utility bills. I mean, 25% of the country are late on their electrical bill right now. I mean, think about this. This is the United States of America. This should not be happening. And nothing's going well in this country. The Middle East is a hornet's nest. There were no wars there when my father was in. He stopped all of them. Russia and Ukraine, that situation is totally out of control. China is more emboldened right now than it's ever been before. You have 20 million illegal immigrants that have come into our country. You have 320,000 children this year who have died of fentanyl poisoning alone. I mean, died of fentanyl poisoning. They touch something, they eat something. Maybe they do some recreational drug, not thinking that it's going to kill them, and all of a sudden they're dead. They're dead. I mean, I've personally lost. 4 friends of mine have lost children to the fentanyl overdoses, and you don't even hear about it.
No.
You have Biden that's sleeping on a beach, getting a suntan on a Monday. I mean, it's like the weakest look ever. You have Kamala, who her last interview was with "Call Her Daddy." I mean, God bless. I'm all for comedy, but it feels like an awfully kind of poor time to be comedic right now. Just nothing's working in this country, and everybody feels that way. Everybody feels that life is unaffordable. Everybody feels that America is being put last. You look at Aurora, Colorado, where Venezuelan gang members are taking over low-income housing using AK-47s. You look at our educational system in this country, which is ranked 30th in the world. I mean, how in the world is education in the United States of America 30th in the world? We should be first in the world. We're the United States of America. We should be the best at everything we do. And yet we're 30th in the world in terms of education, our kids. Our First Amendment is under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. Religious liberty, which is so crucial. We need more religion in society. That's under attack. Our Second Amendment is under attack. Our entire Constitution, way of life is under attack. I mean, it's just hard to believe that America could be in the spot that it's in right now. And, that's why the next 4 weeks matter so much. And frankly, it's why a state that I love, Pennsylvania, obviously where you are right now.
Yes.
I went to school. I lived in Pennsylvania for 5 years. I know the state extremely well. In fact, my father's going to Reading today. I grew up in Pottstown, which is, my first girlfriend went to Reading Central Catholic of all places. And it's a state that I know extremely well. It's a state that I love, probably more dear friends from Pennsylvania than any state in the country. And, at the same time, we win Pennsylvania. I truly believe we win the nation, and people have to get out. And if you're sick and tired of the nonsense, please get out and vote. I mean, please get out and vote. I mean,
swampthevote.com.
It's tight.
I will say my teenage son, we beat the Hill School because we're in the Interact League.
Oh,
so
no.
we did. Yeah, sorry.
Wow,
did you say Buckley?
What's that?
Where do you go to school?
No, my son goes to Germantown Academy, but Hill School is
Germantown in a lot of sports.
Yeah, so
wow, shots fired here.
Well, Hill was a great place, and Pottstown was a lot of great memories from Pottstown.
Yeah, so
a lot of great memories.
And I know you have a lot of great memories too. And your wife Laura, a native of North Carolina. When I look at the aftermath of the storm there, when you're talking about it, even yesterday, I think it was President Joe Biden was asked about it, and he admitted that there was unfortunately a slow start. That's how he referred to FEMA. What's as far as efforts there, and now with Milton and thinking about leadership, Ron DeSantis has been praised. You and your wife, I know you've been traveling through South Carolina, North Carolina. Do you have any personal, as far as being on the ground and what you've seen, what you can report to us as how that recovery effort is going?
Well, my wife just left North Carolina, a day ago, and she's talking to people, and they're not seeing help. I mean, they just weren't seeing help. I mean, now help is starting to show up, but it's amazing. Starting at Katrina, you had this whole concept of the Cajun Navy. Do you remember this? Where effectively you just had incredible men, women. They hopped in their boats, their duck boats, their bass boats, their whatever they had. Their big trucks, and they grabbed chainsaws, and they grabbed aids, and they grabbed pallets of water, and they went and they distributed, and they searched houses and waiters and everything else, and they kind of took matters into their own hand. And you're seeing that in North Carolina as well, but it's infuriating. I mean, you have FEMA. Mayorkas comes out 2 days ago and says that FEMA's out of money, and I'm sitting there, and I don't think there's ever been a comment that's made me more upset. We sent $200 billion over to Ukraine so young, innocent kids on both sides of a conflict can shoot at each other at point-blank ranges in trenches. I mean, I know how much time I put into my children and educating them and teaching them manners and teaching them how to say please and thank you and opening doors, and every lesson you taught them is expunged in 1/1000th of a second for millions of families, right? I mean, to be in the conflict, millions of families, and we've put $200 billion into this war, and yet FEMA runs out of money. How in the hell is that even possible? I mean, the fact that FEMA, and by the way, Florida is about to get hit by a Category 5 in a major city in Tampa. Tonight. I'm in the path of this storm right now as we speak. How in the world do we not have like a reserve war chest of $10 billion, $20 billion are sitting there in the event of these catastrophes, so we can go in, sweep in, and take care of the problem? And the answer to that, Don, is because we waste money on everything around the world. Again, Iran chants death to America, and we send them $150 billion under Obama. We've lost our damn minds. We give Pakistan hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and they won't tell us that they're housing bin Laden, 10 years ago. I mean, what is it with America putting ourselves last? And sometimes my father gets criticized for this kind of, he always says America first. And why can't we put America first? Why can't we put North Carolina first? Why can't we put Pennsylvania first? Pennsylvania's had plenty of problems in terms of flooding and disaster. Why can't we put states like this first? Why can't we put an educational system that's ranked 30th in the world? Why can't we put that first and fix that problem? And God bless, I want to be charitable to everybody, but there's never anyone to help us. I mean, Tampa will get really hurt tonight based on this awful storm that everybody's watching, Category 5, which is going to hit a city. Do you think anybody else? Do you think Pakistan? Do you think Iran is coming out and saying, we'd like to contribute to you? So sorry you just got hit by a storm. No. They don't do a damn thing. At what point do we put ourselves first? And the fact that FEMA could possibly run out of money, the fact that somebody's home can wash down a river and Kamala come out and say, we'd like to give you $750 as compensation for the fact that you lost every hope and dream and the white picket fence and everything that you've ever saved for and built in your life. It's so insulting to me, and it has to end. It has to end, and the only way we do that is getting somebody that just can utilize a little common sense, because that's all we need. We need people who can enact common sense, and we don't have that right now.
Yeah, and people need to pay attention and do their homework. So, Eric Trump, I hope you come back. I hope next time you're in town we can meet, talk a little more football or sports with your teenage days here in this area. But what a pleasure and an honor to talk to you today. Eric Trump, thank you so much.
Don, it's a great honor to be on.
Oh, thank you, and God bless your family. Everybody's praying for you. I was just at an event last night. I cannot exaggerate that. How many people talk about
keep praying.
Yeah,
keep praying. Hey, we need all the prayers we can get. Well, believe me, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God and somebody looking down. Believe me, I say that with every ounce of my soul. So keep praying, and we appreciate those prayers, and we're going to pray for this nation, and we're going to work every second of the next 28 days to save this country. I promise you, every second of my life over the next 28 days is going to be working on saving this country. So we appreciate you very much,
Thanks,
Don.
Eric. Appreciate you. Take care. So your thoughts, if you have any reaction, 855-839-1210, the number to call. Just a guy who I've never met in person and never talked to him. My first takeaway is, very just so conversational. We found the same thing, Dan, when we were backstage with Don Jr.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just started talking about life,
It's a testament to their father that he's able to, in an environment where, we're being honest, they're raised with golden spoons in their mouth, raise such down-to-earth children. Both Don Trump Jr. backstage, I mean, we're just having casual conversations. Yeah. He's hopping in, he's sitting there joining us, and then you hear Eric there, and just a fabulous interview there, Don. I really liked delving into, his family and where they were at with the assassination, and especially the question about the mother. And I'm in conservative radio. I hadn't known that it was the 2-year anniversary of their mother's, passing. So it's just really good stuff, and really good to hear from Eric.
Yeah, thanks for setting that up, Dan Borowski. And now, one more reasons Yoli can go, yeah, Borowski's the best. And then his producer, Matt DeSantis, goes, "That's not helpful." Which I love. Those two together. I know, but he's just busting his chops. It's funny. All right, do we have to take a break?
We do, but you got to tell us about your trip coming up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say names, but I'm getting texts like, is Romina back? I'm like, yes, Romina is back. I hope you come away with me. Oh my goodness. I can't wait for this. I was looking up all of these northern Italian villages. This is the Italian Riviera. I hope you come to paradise with me again. This is a gastronomical event that only Conservative Tours can deliver. Limited amount of, places in this, so it's predicted to sell out if the last time around was any indication. But I hope you join me for 11 luxurious days with the professionals from Conservative Tours. They are the best tour operator in all of Italy. A+ ratings, especially with the BBB, Better Business Bureau. What am I talking about? Portofino, Rapallo, Santa Margherita Ligure, Tuscany, and the brilliant Cinque Terre. $53.78. This includes your airfare. $53.78. Wow. Dining events at the wineries in Tuscany, and even an authentic farm visit to see the Parmesan cheese being crafted by hand. Remember we did that at the mozzarella farm last time around? So it's a blast to witness this in person, but this is the Parmesan cheese being crafted by hand. Call toll-free 888-733.
Can you clear something up for me?
What?
Does buffalo mozzarella come from buffaloes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and you should see the way that they're treated. So when you go into the buffalo farm, they make you like step on things to wash your shoes, and everything has to be like sanitary. But these buffaloes are treated better than, you know what I mean? They get like a spa day every day.
Really?
It's organic. It's amazing. So you learn so much, and then of course there's always food at the end, wine at the end. It's amazing. It's so much fun. So toll-free, 888-733-9494. You can go to conservativetours.com. If you scroll down, you'll see my picture there, and then you'll see all of these places that we're going to visit together. Some of us, I know we're trying to get together to show some of our videos, so hopefully that becomes a tradition. But you're going to see hidden Italian villages you've never seen, like Giacomo Puccini, San Gimignano, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, Florence, and Milan. And then concluding the trip on the Lakes region, which is gorgeous. Bellagio, Orta, and Isola Bella. So join me. Please do this now. You got to get this on the calendar, conservativetours.com. We're going to go next spring in Italy. See you in Cinque Terre. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. I want to talk about my friend, dentist, and board-certified prosthodontist, Dr. Robert Bentz, and the Bentz Dental Group. With the cooler weather, it's a great time to stop procrastinating. Take care of your dental health. Plus, now's the best time to see a prosthodontist, especially to help with complications as we get older and help prevent major problems. Get the smile you really want. Take control of your oral health. Call the Bentz Dental Group, 610-272-6949. Visit BentzDentalGroup.com.
This year's election may determine the future of Social Security.
Jim O'Neill, Huntington Valley, Pennsylvania. I have my doubts about where we're going as a country. My concerns with the election and the economy are that much of our Social Security funding may dry up in 7 years, 10 years, which is not good for the citizens who paid into that system. With the crash-proof retirement system, I can supplement or even replace Social Security and not deplete my nest egg. It's guaranteed. This year, I have earned over 14%. We do not have to pay any fees, and you cannot lose it. I am election-proof because no matter what happens in this election cycle this year, I am protected by crash-proof retirement.
Election-proof your retirement future. Schedule an appointment or register for our next event at Spring Mill Country Club on October 16th, 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
When was the last time you watched your home movies?
Disasters strike unexpectedly. Every year, American families lose the one thing they'd run back into a burning building for, their family's memories. Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Adam. We started Legacy Box to help save your family's most important recorded moments so you don't have to worry.
Load Legacy Box with your old movies, film reels, and shoeboxes of photos.
We work our digitizing magic, converting those memories right to the cloud so they're safe and accessible forever.
It's fast, we always send your originals back, and it's done right here in the USA.
Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box. Better Homes and Garden, Real Simple, and Inc. magazine are all talking about Legacy Box.
New York Times columnist David Pogue says, have them digitized. I wish I'd done it sooner. Take action. Save your family's memories today with Legacy Box.
Go to legacybox.com/value to get an incredible 50% off your Legacy Box. That's legacybox.com/value for 50% off while supplies last. legacybox.com/value.
The Don Stensland Show. Don Stensland live and local on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
We'll talk moving forward about all of the campaigning in the area. I had told you earlier, Liz Cheney is among also one of the View hosts will be in Montgomery County. We've mentioned to you Trump campaigning here in PA, multiple stops, concluding with a rally in Reading. And the Supreme Court, upon reconvening, some big rulings there. As far as FEMA funding, I know some of you want to call and talk about the FEMA funding. You can look at yesterday's show. I did a lot of fact checking on this, and remember that the FEMA funding talking point is coming from something that Mayorkas had said, that because of the budget issues, they got $20 billion extra. He said they need the funding moving forward. Is the government out of money? Obviously not technically out of money. Have they spent a lot of money on these other issues that we've talked about? Yes, that is true. And I can go through it with you. I can send you links if you want that, as far as what that spending entailed, being the crisis with immigrants. It's well over $1 billion, and that from this administration. So we can parse words, but I've done shows on this and meticulously gone through every fact check. So just want to give that out to you, because I know some of you are always concerned that we are factual and that we do our homework, and that's always important, and I appreciate your calls about that, truly. But we have a great interview coming up right around the corner, and speaking of that, we want to go through as far as October 7th and moving forward, hostages still being held hostage in Gaza, how this impacts the Jewish vote in our region and around America. And then what happened at ABC News? Will this morning anchor be fired after he took on an author with an anti-Israel viewpoint? We'll talk about all of that moving forward. Really appreciate you here. Dawn Stensland, be right back.
Bob's Little Sports Shop, Delsey Drive in Glassboro, is your one-stop shop for firearms and firearm safety. Bob's now offers an expanded selection and classroom area, NRA-certified instructors for all your firearm education. Bob's also has your New Jersey carry permit qualifications and an indoor pistol range open daily. Call 856-881-7575 or go to bobslittle-sportshop.com.
I'm proud to be an American and live in this great land. To keep our country safe and free, we all must take a stand. The freedom that we all enjoy is just one vote away, and if we are not vigilant, it can be lost one day. Freedom is a fragile gift. We all must do our part. To always vote for freedom first is where we all must start.
Remember Bob's Little Sports Shop for firearms and firearm safety. Call 856-881-7575 or bobslittlesportshop.com. Paid for by Bob's Little Sports Shop, Glassboro, New Jersey.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits, a $2,000 value, free.
Endurance has paid hundreds of millions in claims. Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-296-7260. That's 800-296-7260. 800-296-7260.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. How about getting ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino, America's #1 sportsbook? Because right now, new customers can bet $5, get $300 in bonus bets if you win. How about a same-game parlay, Thursday Night Football, 49ers at Seahawks. Brock Purdy over passing yards, DK Metcalf over receiving yards, and Kenneth Walker anytime touchdown. That's a good bet. And just visit FanDuel.com/Dom to make every moment more this season, because FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. You have to be 21 plus, present in Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER.
At California Psychics, we know you have your doubts about, well, psychics. After all, there's a lot of hocus pocus out there. From people who don't know their astrology from their elbow.
Your horoscope says you'll get the promotion. Oh dear, but you gotta watch out for flying pigs.
To tarot tricksters playing you for the fool. And fortune tellers who charge a fortune. That's why California Psychics reject 98% of the psychics who apply to work with us. We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. Right now, new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. So you can get advice without developing a flying pig phobia. Experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
In just a moment, you'll hear from a young man, Harvard grad, who did not vote for Donald J. Trump in 2016, did not vote for Donald J. Trump in 2020. So what has changed his mind? Why now? Is he supporting Trump? That interview coming up in just a moment. You want to hear this. It's quite compelling. And the other question swirling is somebody like me, who's, yes, an Emmy Award-winning television news journalist, pretty much most of my adult life. The question at CBS News, where I worked at the network, when is an interview too tough? As many in the journalism world grapple with what happened at CBS News with host Tony Ducapul's point of view. It was a tough interview with an author about Israel, and people are having heated debates about this. So we want to take you through this and just give you a sense of what happened here.
Yeah, so Dawn, Tony Ducapel, he had Ta-Nehisi Coates on, who was promoting in a book tour the new book, The Message. And I got kind of heated in the CBS This Morning interview with Tony, because Tony, a Jewish individual himself, was not going to let a lot of the messaging that you see in Ta-Nehisi Coates' new message, or new book, The Message, go left unquestioned. So here's Tony's question, first out of the box that he had for him, and it caused quite a stir over at CBS, which we'll get into here in a second. But here's the question itself.
I have to say, when I read the book, I imagine if I took your name out of it, took away the awards and the acclaim, took the cover off the book, the publishing house goes away, the content of that section would not be out of place in the backpack of an extremist. And so then I found myself wondering, why does Ta-Nehisi Coates, who I've known for a long time, read his work for a long time, very talented, smart guy, leave out so much? Why leave out that Israel is surrounded by countries that want to eliminate it? Why leave out that Israel deals with terror groups that want to eliminate it? Why not detail anything of the first and the second intifada, the cafe bombings, the bus bombings, the little kids blown to bits? And is it because you just don't believe that Israel, in any condition, has a right to exist?
It's a very fair question, I would think,
I
right?
think so.
Yeah, you would think so.
It is a tough question, but why have you left these things out?
Yeah. And you're writing a very biased, and Ta-Nehisi Coates has been very honest about that bias, and he is throughout the interview. But apparently that wasn't enough for some CBS staffers who complained to the brass, which caused CBS's Adrian Rourke, who's head of news gathering for the network, to have a staff call, an editorial meeting call, in which he addressed apparent bias from Tony. Take a listen.
We will still, I want to be clear, we will still ask tough questions. We will still hold people accountable. That's part of our job too. But we will do so objectively. And that means, very plainly, we have to check our bias and opinions at the door. And that applies to every single one of us. We are not here to represent any viewpoint. We are here to tell stories. And I say this a lot. We are here to report news without fear or faith. I want to acknowledge there are a lot of times that we do this really well, and then there are times we don't. And there are times we fail our audiences and we fail each other. We're in one of those times right now, and it's been growing. And now we are at a tipping point.
Tipping point.
A tipping point.
So isn't this interesting? Now, Ducapel, by the way, his kids right now are in Israel, and he is, as you said, he is Jewish. He's giving, yes, a tough interview. I don't know. I mean, you can't help it if you're an American. I don't think you have to be Jewish to give that interview, because essentially, if somebody is saying in their book that, and this is an award-winning author, but if somebody's saying essentially that an entire population of individuals who live in an area really don't have the right to be there, geez, if that was any other group, wouldn't...
It's a fair question.
I mean, if that was any other group, just insert that any other group, right? That would be considered, that could be construed, okay, as racist, or whatever.
And legal correspondent Jan Crawford, who would know something about the legality of trying to silence this kind of stuff, spoke up in Tony's favor in the meeting, Dawn. And then we're going to get to a great guest, but take a listen.
I guess it sounds like we're calling out one of our anchors in a somewhat public setting on this call for failing to meet editorial standards, or I'm not even sure what. I don't understand how Tony's interview or any of his comments that he's made with anchors failed to, meet our editorial standards that obviously go back to the days of Murrow and Cronkite, which of course I thought our commitment was to truth. And when someone comes on our air with a one-sided account of a very complex situation, as Coates himself acknowledges that he has, it's my understanding that as journalists, we are obligated to challenge that world.
I would say you agree with that, right?
Yeah, I would agree with the lawyer in the room. But you see, this is the bubble. This is what you're seeing in real time is the media bubble, and executives now grappling with their woke staff members who went to them and complained. And that's what this is. Now, maybe you could say, well, is Ducapel, is he the one who is, I don't know. I mean, I actually think that his his coworkers had more of a problem than actually the author, who they obviously know each other. He's interviewed him before. He knows him.
Ta-Nehisi Coates seemed to want to roll with it.
Right.
He was having a very fair conversation there.
So I think Coates actually liked the challenge, and went back and forth. So just your thoughts on that. But I don't know that anybody else here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT has taken that one on. As somebody who's, my journalism background, I wanted to just put that out there for you and get your take, and maybe it's eye-opening. So just your thoughts, 855-839-1210. But I think that also sets the stage, if you will, for Shabos Kostenbaum. Is he joining us now? Is he here?
Yep, he's here on the line, yep.
Hey, so if the name sounds familiar, Shabos Kostenbaum, then you may remember him from the RNC, where he took the stage, and as well, just this past weekend here in Pennsylvania.
In 1790, President George Washington addressed the Jewish community in Newport, Rhode Island. And he told them that here in the United States, bigotry would be given no sanction and persecution no assistance. Since arriving in 1654, we Jewish Americans have fought and died for this country. We have participated in all areas of civic life, and we have pursued life, liberty, and happiness. We Jewish Americans are not guests in this country. We Jewish Americans are part of this country.
So that was this weekend at the great rally, and Shabos joins me now. You were awesome at the rally, got huge applause. Although when you started at some point and you said, don't hold this again, the crowd got a little quiet, but you definitely won them over. Welcome in.
Thank you. It's good to be here. And yes, I did say, don't hold it against me, but I'm a Democrat, but don't worry, I'm voting for Trump. And look, the message I've been trying to say, not just to registered Democrats, but really to the Jewish American community who typically only vote for the Democratic Party, is we did not abandon the party abandoned us. And it's time that we take our political loyalties elsewhere.
So we first got to know you as you are a plaintiff in the Harvard discrimination suit and a former Bernie Sanders supporter, right?
Yes.
So this is, take me through, if you would, your journey as looking at, first of all, Ivy League campuses, and it happened at across the country, here in Philadelphia, where I'm broadcasting from some of our Ivy League and premier schools. But take me through how that made you see party politics or partisan politics in probably a different way than you've ever seen before.
Yeah, so like most American Jews, pre-October 7th, of course, the largest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust, I considered myself a progressive. I was someone who marched with Black Lives Matter. I was someone who marched at the Supreme Court when Roe v. Wade was overturned. I'm someone who, as you said, voted for Bernie Sanders. I was a registered Democrat since the day I turned 18. And as a student at Harvard, on October 7th, to see those same individuals who I marched with, to see my progressive allies, those who introduce themselves with preferred gender pronouns, those who create safe spaces on campus, those who take knees for Black lives. They look at the rape of Jewish women. They look at the beheading of Jewish civilians and the kidnapping of Jewish babies, and they applaud it and they celebrate it. And this is not the progressivism that I signed up for. This is certainly not the Democratic Party that I recognize, because, of course, these are all Democratic voters. So I spent about 10 months trying in a personal capacity to get the Democratic Party to take the issues of anti-Semitism seriously, to take the issues of students at our most elite and allegedly respected institutions like Harvard, like MIT, like Columbia, where students are burning the American flag, where they're calling for the death of the United States and the death of Israel, where they celebrate terrorism like Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. And the Democratic Party, much to my shock, much to my anger and disappointment, have refused for the better part of a year to take this issue seriously. And look, I've given them loyalty. I've only voted for Democrats, but if Jewish Americans really want to show that they are politically influential, then we would take our loyalties elsewhere. And President Trump has earned every Jewish American vote. This is someone who has met with Jewish Americans and Jewish students consistently. This is someone who stood up to Iran and its Iranian proxies. This is someone who achieved regional peace with the Abraham Accords. And I am confident that with him back in power, Jewish Americans will be protected once again. And I'm incredibly proud to support him. Do I agree with him on all policies? No, of course not. But do I think that he has our interests at heart? Yes, of course.
Here in Philadelphia and some of our college campuses, the protests, the anti-Israel protesters, they have been seen within the last week. 4 were arrested. And also, I saw that I believe you had put out on social media something entitled Mayhem at Harvard about masked thugs smashing windows on campus. And so for you, this is not a past issue of what happened. What I sense from you is that this is an issue where you feel that it's a safety priority because it's ongoing.
Absolutely. I think people make the mistake of looking at the crisis on campus and thinking, well, it's an issue of free speech. But when you have, as you just pointed out, when you have masked thugs 2 nights ago at Harvard University take hammers and smash windows and pour fake blood all over the campus, when you have at Columbia University students who take over university buildings, take maintenance workers hostages, call for armed violence in the streets of the United States, then it doesn't even become a Jewish or anti-Semitism issue. It becomes an issue that affects each and every American citizen. And look, I have bad news for the American people, rightly or wrongly. In 10, 20 years, my classmates, those at Harvard, those at Columbia, those at the University of Pennsylvania, they unfortunately will wield a disproportionate amount of power. They will be our elected officials. They will be our judges. They will be our policymakers. They will be the authors of the books our kids read. And if these classmates, the ones who are calling for the destruction of the United States, who are calling for armed violence, if they are our leaders, then we are in a serious crisis point in this country. And to see a lack of response from the current Biden-Harris administration, to see them not take this issue seriously, it's shocking. I mean, I just don't understand it. And again, the point I want to drive home is it doesn't really just have to do with Jewish Americans. It doesn't really just have to do with the state of Israel. It has to do with the attacks on our Western civilization, on our liberal democracy, and on our American values. I mean, this is physical violence that is happening on an almost daily basis on America's most elite college campuses.
And part of this is, and I'm embarrassed to say, I did not realize, zooming out, the magnitude of what was really going on. I think it was an attorney I was talking to about a similar suit, much like yours with Harvard, with a Jewish student, a female, here in Pennsylvania, not in Philadelphia, but where there are attorneys representing some of these students who've been victimized by some of these groups, and all the research that I recently found talking about the link between the country of some people say Qatar or Qatar, but the institutions that have been funded here in the United States of America to the tune of $13 billion in funding from these very wealthy foreign sources, and that this is not just, it's a bunch of kids who are ill-informed, that there's something behind it that goes back many years. And is that something that you became aware of, that is part of why you are speaking out?
100%. And what you're saying is not conspiratorial. It's not speculative. In fact, Biden's own National Security Council about 2 months ago released a report, and it showed as fact that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is funding many of the anti-American protests, both on college campuses and on our streets. As a fact, again, not speculative, anti-democratic, anti-Western, and anti-Semitic countries like Qatar, Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, they have been funneling billions of dollars into our institutions of higher learning for decades now. In fact, I encourage your listeners, they could just Google Harvard University Qatar donation, because in 2003, a Jewish student at Harvard Divinity School found that the Harvard Divinity School, which teaches religion and morality and ethics, received a $3 million donation from a Qatari think tank that advocated for the murder of American troops in Iraq, that advocated that Jews were behind 9/11, and it took this one brave student, Rachel Fish, to uncover it. But Harvard, they willingly accepted the money, and this is close to 2 decades ago. So we can only imagine how much more money they've taken from hostile nations that don't share our American values. So there is a bill already that is on the Senate, waiting for a Senate vote, the Deterrent Act. There is a bill waiting for a Senate vote, the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. These are bills that would directly alleviate the concerns of Jewish American students and would regulate the flow of foreign funding into our universities. Unfortunately, the Senate Democratic Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, has refused to allow either of these bills to go to a floor vote. So again, I'm a Democrat. Chuck Schumer is obviously a Democrat. But why in the world is he holding up these two pieces of legislation? And his office won't give us answers. He's not particularly concerned about the issue. So I can't understand why Jewish Americans will not call out our own party and say this is unacceptable. So that has really influenced my ideological evolution to support someone like Trump, who has been very clear that not only will we regulate and stop the flow of foreign funding into our universities, but we will finally enforce the laws already on the books that, for example, say if you're a foreign student on a foreign student visa and you violate American law, you will be deported. And that has been American law for 50 years, but it just hasn't been enforced under the Biden-Harris administration. And President Trump has said very clearly that on day one, we will finally enforce the policies already on the books.
So we're continuing the conversation with Shabbos Kestenbaum, who's a grad of Harvard, now suing Harvard. But where do you go next? I mean, has this inspired you to change your career path? I think of somebody like Riley Gaines, who was a dental student, and you know what I mean? And I'm meeting all these different people who in college, something happened, COVID, and then the world order changed and is in this upside down land that we live in. But, what's next for you in your journey?
Right. Well, I definitely I appreciate the comparison to Riley Gaines. That's a new one for me. I'll say this. The first step is really working for the next 30 days to make sure that President Trump is back in the White House. I'm doing what I can to speak with members of the Jewish community, really in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, and Arizona, these crucial swing states. And then, of course, there's the lawsuits. That's certainly where a lot of my attention is being driven towards. We want to make sure that this not only is successful in court, but this sends a very powerful message and sets a legal precedent. Long term, I do think I can see myself in the political arena. I don't know what that looks like just yet, but I think there is a need for young people to speak up and to speak the truth. And I'm very privileged and honored that I have been able to do that for the last couple of months, or at least I think I've been doing that the last couple of months. And I'm incredibly appreciative of all of the support that not only that I've received, but that young students who've been horrified to see the pro-terrorist sympathies of their classmates and have been horrified to see this illiberalism on our college campuses. We're so privileged that the American people are with us, that they support us, they welcome us. And, I'll close by saying a quick anecdote. After my speech at the Republican convention, it took me about 2 hours to get back to my seat, because the amount of people who came up to me and just hugged me or just said, we're praying for the hostages, or we stand with Jewish Americans, or we stand with the state of Israel. I mean, it was breathtaking, and it was such a remarkable moment of clarity for me as to what makes this country so great. And I'm going to keep fighting for this country. I'm going to keep fighting for my community, and I hope to hear some good news this November. Yeah, we all do. Shabbos Kestenbaum, thank you for joining me. I know you spent October 7th on the commemoration, the 1-year commemoration of that deadly terrorist attack on so many innocent civilians with Donald J. Trump.
for a day of prayer. Can you share a story of what that meant for you on October 7th?
Sure. So that was a very powerful, meaningful, and moving day. We were joined by President Trump at the resting place of Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, an influential 20th century rabbi. And I was there together with American families of hostages who are still being held by Hamas in Gaza. I was there together with Auschwitz survivors, and the president took time to speak with each and every one of us. He spent time to tell the hostage families that your son is coming back, and we stand with you 100%. He told me that you got to keep fighting them, referring to those on college campuses. He gave us strength and inspiration, and it was deeply meaningful. And I'll sort of end on a bit of a sad note, which is Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were invited to do the same, to offer prayers in a non-political setting to be with the Jewish community, and they both declined. The campaign refused to meet with us. And I think if any Jewish American is listening to this, I think the choice couldn't be more clear. I mean, this is someone who not only met with the Jewish community the morning of October 7th, but then he flew from New York back to Miami to do another event with the Jewish community to commemorate October 7th. I mean, this is something that clearly shook him to his core.
Yeah.
And where was Kamala Harris and Tim Walz that day? So I know Kamala Harris was planting a tree, but I don't see how that really helps us.
Yeah.
So
good old pomegranate tree.
Yeah.
Great shovel work, by the way.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, we can't thank you enough for your time. You've been gracious, and we'll follow you certainly, and follow your career, and continue just to pray for the truth and for our country to heal from all this.
And
that's
Shabbos, I
happened.
just want to put it out there.
Dan.
If you ever want a platform, please feel free to reach
Yeah.
out. Or if any of the families of the hostages, survivors, they want to
I
platform or
love
speak.
electrics.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we would love to hear from them as well. So just putting that out there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both. I
Thank
do
you.
appreciate it, and we'll be in touch. God bless.
God bless. Thanks, Shabbos. He's great. Thanks, Dan, for setting two great interviews. Dan texted me last night and told me about the lineup today. And I just, last night when I was at this event in Delaware County, so many compliments to you, Dan. People saying, I love these interviews. And, you learn so much from even these college students or recent college grads and what they've been through in their lives. When you think about the pandemic, I guess a lot of them were in high school, and then moving forward to all of these different movements and what we're going through. And so it is a great time of evolution, of change. And so I'm you know what? I am always half glass full, and I think of hope. And so people like, Riley and Shabbos, he was so cute when he said he was complimented to be complimented. But I think this is the future, that we have individuals who are seeing what leadership and a sound mind and a grounded individual, what it means for us.
It's even on local. So you think of Megan Brock, Beth Ann Rossica, just regular
Yes.
suburban moms who jumped into action, and now, essentially they work around these issues that they began fighting for during the pandemic.
Yeah, and in that case, you're exactly right. So a lot of local moms and dads, but especially these moms who were activated like Transformers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they saw the Decepticons. You can tell I'm a mom of boys, but you know what I mean? And so they were activated and still activated, but so many of them Democrats, or many of them just said, oh, I'm not into politics at all. I just want to live my life. And what you realize, what we're all realizing, these policies, they matter. And unfortunately, I'm going to say this, I have to say it when I look back at previous administrations and looking back at history. And I remember a point, and I'm a longtime Republican. I voted for George W. Bush. I still, I love the Bush family. My mom loved, like Barbara Bush especially. And when I think, do you remember when with the ports, and it was George W. who was like, oh man, he was so disappointed because a bunch of his buddies from the Emirates, remember this? And he was like, why can't they get the contract to run our ports? And so there was a trust, and I'm not saying that in any way it was nefarious. I think that George W. Bush is a good person, but I think in a way he was a little naive, because we see these interests and the influence, and that's exactly what Shabbos, this young people who now, because of what they've been through, are more cynical at a younger age. And to think about what Rich Cioli always says, what could possibly go wrong. And so that's really what we're seeing, this influence of billions of dollars of places like of Qatar and the money flowing in. And they realized, hey, we can influence not just colleges, because this money goes into public and private schools, especially at the high school and middle school level. And this was a target, and this was going back many, many years. So continue the conversation. Appreciate you being here. 855-839-1210. Be right back.
The good and bad with home improvement projects. The good, you save $1 or $2. The bad.
Kevin, there's no hot water.
So you move on to the car.
Kevin, what's with the car?
Good news, you can recover from these.
Kevin!
Well, most all of them. But when it comes to your retirement, a mistake can be devastating.
Call Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group. He's been helping folks prepare for retirement for over 30 years. That's why he's able to correct your do-it-yourself problems before they're problems.
Get your complimentary assessment of where you are now and look at some of the retirement boxes you haven't even thought of.
Kevin!
You can't YouTube your retirement. Call Joe Yakovich at 856-925-6674 or visit jmlfinancialgroup.com. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company.
Is your kitchen or bathroom in need of a makeover?
It's time to transform your home into a personal oasis with Emmons Remodeling.
Our expert team specializes in kitchen and bathroom renovations, creating beautiful, functional spaces you and your family will love. We handle everything from design to installation.
So call us today at 856-885-6677 or visit callemmons.com. From top to bottom,
to inside and out,
at Emmons, we have you covered.
Cancer, a scary word, but not so scary if you have the right team. Hi, this is John DeMasi, host of Health Watch, Sundays at 8 and again at 4 here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. And that team is Dr. Molly Fantasia and the medical staff at Innovative Medical Associates. Yes, cancer is a scary word and a difficult condition if you've been diagnosed. Over the years, the staff at Innovative Medical Associates has helped hundreds of patients with their unique medical hydration protocols. Cancer support is a large part of the practice at Innovative Medical Associates.
We believe in medical hydration. We've improved it so much that we are able to help people across the board with challenges before they become chronic.
Talk about improving your quality of life. Most likely, that'll happen when you visit Innovative Medical Associates. Check them out on the web at innovativemedicalassociates.com or call 856-489-0505 to schedule your initial complimentary consultation.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. For years, I've talked about the health benefits of Rescue Natural Supplements after making their omega-3s a part of my daily routine. From supporting heart health to providing pain relief, they provide essential nutrients that impact our bodies in so many ways. Listen to this recent comment from Carol. She says triglycerides are at an all-time low and increase my well-being, while joint pains and muscle aches have decreased too. People like Carol have trusted Rescue with their health goals, and now it's your turn. For a limited time, use the code OMEGA50 for an exclusive buy one, get one free offer on any of the 7 Rescue Omega-3 choices. To get this special radio offer, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483, or use the code online at res-q.com, res-q.com. Remember, use that code OMEGA50, OMEGA50, to buy one and get another Rescue Omega-3 absolutely free.
The following is a paid commercial message.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. So many of you have told me about your plans for the future. Starting a business, buying a home, retiring near your grandchildren. But prices are too high. So let me tell you what I will do about it as president. I will take on price gouging. I will lower the cost of healthcare insurance. We cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. I'm running to do that for everyone. And I will provide new down payment assistance to first-time home buyers and tax benefits to people who want to start their own business. Donald Trump, well, he wants to give more tax breaks to the wealthy, whereas I will cut taxes for the middle class instead. Because I know working people want to do more than just get by. You want to get ahead, and that's the future you deserve. And that is what I will focus on every day as your president. Paid for by Harris for President.
Weather sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
The pleasant weather pattern continues across the Delaware Valley today. Plenty of sunshine with a high temperature right near average at 71. A chilly night tonight, mostly clear, low 48 for the city, colder out in the suburbs, and a cooler day on Thursday. Plenty of sunshine with a high 63.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. We recently received a call from an injured person. The insurance company had offered them $11,000. We took the case over and got more than $2 million in court. Morgan & Morgan.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Free speech lives here on Odyssey's #1 talk station. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
What we're living in, let me tell ya. And it's a world that man can eat at all. When things are big that should be small. Who can tell what magic spells?
I love it.
Jamiroquai. It's been a while. Jim's over here saying since he heard that one. 1996 going back all the way.
I love it. Let me just wrap up the FEMA thing in a bow, and I've fact-checked this. I've gone into great detail. So this is a semantics game that's being played, and I don't want you to be played. I'm not going to be played. So when the statement is made, FEMA ran out of money, that's a quote that we hear over and over. Of course, our federal government is, and even by President Joe Biden's own account, it was a little slow, and especially in some areas, and that's tragic for those individuals and frustrating for many. But they are getting. I mean, they are going to the rescue, and at the end of the day, that big bureaucracy known as FEMA will help all of these individuals rebuild, and I do believe that. But let's talk about the semantics game. I went into great detail, so I'll just try to say this quickly. FEMA is the one who gives out the money, okay? That's the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. They administer the fund. It's called the DRF, the Disaster Relief Fund. So remember I told you this was late September, and we didn't have a budget. And then if you don't have a budget, then, Congress, if they don't do that, then the government shuts down. They didn't let that happen. So they allocated $20 million to FEMA for, to carry them through. That same day, the beginning of the new fiscal year, October 1st, what happened? Mayorkas, Homeland Security Secretary, he's interviewed, and what he is saying in the context of a congressional budget situation, right? Because we don't officially have the budget. Remember, they extended it 90 days. So what Mayorkas is talking about in the context of that, which I think was he probably regrets that he said those words because everything gets taken out of context. Everything's in a vacuum. And so everybody went, what? He just said we don't actually have enough money, or we're going to run out of money, or something to that effect. And everybody takes that. And it's why Greg Stocker says, don't get your news from Twitter. Get it from Dawn. I'm going to give you the perspective, right? And so what Mayorkas was saying, Congress, you got to get moving here, and we need the budget because we don't have the DRF so that we can dole out those dollars. That's what he was talking about. Then when we do the deeper dive, and you can go to CBO.gov, Congressional Budget Office, yes, they are nonpartisan. They are highly respected. Even the CBO acknowledged that because of the crisis at the border and because millions upon millions of individuals have come into this country illegally over 3.9 years, that created a crisis. Medicare money, dollars, federal tax dollars have been spent in the billions. And now I'm forgetting the number. It was 13 to 16 billion just in medical emergency services to make sure that those individuals who've come across borders illegally, who are here illegally, continue to get the services they need. That was confirmed by a nonpartisan group. That's the truth. I can send you the links. DM me. I'll send you the links. I always say don't take my word or anybody's word, especially from Twitter, but there's the context. Did that suffice it? I know that there were some callers saying, why does Dawn let people claim blah, 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 blah? So there it is. So it's a semantics game. Don't get played.
I do have Mayorkas, who appeared with Kate Boldane on today on CNN, if you want to hear that.
Yeah, he's trying to back up, try to reverse what he said, but A lot of officials, you know what I mean? They're being interviewed constantly, and they say things without really thinking it through, because we were in the midst of a horrible crisis. They were searching for bodies. So now he's trying to clean it up. Let's listen in.
The response to Hurricane Helene, because J.D. Vance just came out with an opinion piece accusing the Biden administration of mismanaging the response, calling the response so far incompetent, and calling you out specifically. Here it is in part. He writes this: shortly after Helene made landfall in the United States on September 26, Joe Biden was at his house in Rehoboth Beach. Vice President Kamala Harris was flying between ritzy California fundraisers, hobnobbing with celebrities. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas was in Los Angeles presiding over an award ceremony. How do you respond to those accusations?
All of those things are true.
Kate, we don't listen to or pay attention to such unproductive and, quite frankly, counterproductive words. We're focused on mission. The state and local leaders in the impacted states have praised the federal response. We work in partnership with our state and local officials. We have delivered more than $280 million in assistance directly to individuals impacted by Helene. And by the way, in Los Angeles, I was recognizing outstanding work of the personnel of the Department of Homeland Security, and surely others should support and recognize that tremendous work.
So he's being a bureaucrat, and the bottom line here is that what JD said and what Kate just stated, all of those are facts. That's where Biden was, that's where Harris was, that's where Mayorkas was. And so the problem is, if you are a leader, why don't you go immediately focus your attention on what's happening and not say stupid stuff that's sloppy? And that's what Mayorkas did. He said something that made people panic, and he shouldn't have said that in the first place. No, they didn't run out of money. Have they spent a lot of money on other stuff, like a border crisis that could have been prevented? Yeah, that's true. But they were not running out of money. The problem is we're all going to pay for this. We're all going to get the tab, taxpayers. That's what's really going to happen. So the bottom line here is that he did not answer her question. All right, I got to get to your calls because I know Joe is fired up. Hey, Joe.
Dawn, you said it perfectly. You have the best guess, and I'm on hold, and my topic gets sparked in 2-3 different directions. So if I could get both of them out, the first one really quick. If they could tap from FEMA, what prevents them from tapping from our Social Security should they see fit?
Exactly. That's a good one.
There's no preventive measures there. And you hear everybody saying, Social Security's an entitlement. Well, not if they start, not if they want to do a do-over, the old T-ball game do-overs. But your other guess, for those who wonder where our educational system went, and for those who refuse to believe it transformed into what it is today, all they got to do is read Pete Hegseth's book, The Battle for the American Mind. It did not. The byproduct was our elementary schools. Where it originated was in our hoity-toity Ivy League schools. That's where they targeted this current mindset. They figured if they went for that population, they would influence the generations under them. And Pete explains it very well. It originated back in the mid-1800s, where they targeted the mind of the Ivy Leaguers.
Yeah, it's a great point. And Pete, his latest book is The War on Warriors. But I know the Battle for the American Mind, I think that came out a couple of years ago. So it's probably on paperback or the audiobooks too if people are driving.
It's a very good book, Dawn.
Excellent.
And one other point, when you said that you were bouncing between the 5 and Rich today, I do the same thing. I put the 5 on my TV. I got Rich on Odyssey, and when Jessica Tarloff comes on, I hit the mute button.
Well, you're not alone. Did you see all the negative comments? I meant to talk about that. Thanks for saying that yesterday when Melania was coming on, and people were saying, "Well, I hope Jessica's not there because she's going to say something inappropriate." That's pretty funny.
Well, you know what? Melania has the wherewithal to set a dingbat like that straight.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the point that Melania is, when you're somebody who's just telling the truth and telling your truth and you don't have memorized lies, That's why I can't really lie, because I don't have the memory for it. You know what I mean? You have to have a really good memory to sit there and memorize every lie in the background to it, because you're going to misspeak. That's a great point. Joe, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We appreciate
You're
you for sure. Yeah, Pete Hegg says that's a good book. I've never interviewed him before, but he seems like such a good guy, and obviously a combat veteran for sure. Do you want to take one more call, or do we have to one more? Take a break. All right, I can't. I'm not allowed. The warden, he's spoken. Not really.
Such compliments. Now you're degrading. Come on, what's going on?
We loved it. 855-839-1210. We have so much that we want to wrap up. Be right back.
Kale and Company, weekday mornings 6 till 10.
How is that possible? In the United States of America, FEMA doesn't have the resources. Hurricanes aren't anything new. They've been happening since the beginning of time. It's not we don't have the resources. It's we didn't allocate the resources properly. FEMA is spending money on stuff that is America last. That is the unacceptable part. Not whether it was which county it is, Democrat, Republican. We're talking about human beings' lives, and they're out of money.
Start your day with Kale and Company, weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Honey, is our car still under warranty?
No, not anymore.
My sister just got an extended service plan from Ox Car Care.
Ox Car Care?
Yeah, Ox will cover our repair bills if anything happens to our car, new brakes, a transmission, AC, or engine problems. Plus, Ox Car Care offers free oil changes, tire rotation, and roadside assistance.
Wait a minute, we pay nothing on the repairs? Ox gets it fixed for us? Free oil changes, free tire rotation, and free roadside assistance? What's the number?
800-224-8517. Ox has a 30-day money-back guarantee and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. They handle their claims from start to finish, unlike other warranty companies. We should call now, 800-224-8517.
The last thing we need is an unexpected car repair bill. I'm calling Ox Car Care now.
Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-224-8517. Ask about senior and military discounts. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox Car Care, 800-224-8517, or go to oxcarcare.com.
The following is a paid commercial message.
A lot of congressmen talk about real results, but Brian Fitzpatrick actually delivers for real people like Tom.
I believe that Congressman Fitzpatrick does have his finger on the pulse, does feel the needs of businesses, and recognizes what small businesses mean to Main Street America.
Janice.
I would say 100% that I support Brian Fitzpatrick for Congress. I know that he has our interests at heart. He's just really a man of great integrity.
And Pete.
Congressman Fitzpatrick is very responsive, especially to veterans' needs. I can't think of any other person I'd rather see as my congressman than Brian Fitzpatrick.
Delivering for Pennsylvania. That's Congressman Brian Fitzpatrick. Vote on or before Election Day, November 5th. Paid for by America's Credit Unions PAC of Credit Union National Association, Inc., americascreditunions.org, and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. America's Credit Unions PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Smokey the Bear.
After 80 years of learning his wildfire prevention tips, Smokey Bear lives within us all. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com. And remember,
only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that. Gather your family and friends for the Buddy Walk and Family Fun Day on Sunday, October 20th at Lincoln Financial Field. Let's celebrate individuals with Down syndrome and have a fun morning. Proceeds benefit CHOP's Trisomy 21 program and the National Down Syndrome Society. Learn more at buddywalk.chop.edu.
Longing for thick, healthy, gorgeous hair? Say goodbye to shedding thin and dull hair and say hello to thick, healthy hair with Hair Volume from New Nordic.
Out here, in the middle of all these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on Earth. And sometimes, that's how it feels when you're going through tough times. Stress builds up, you have trouble sleeping, Maybe your mind is racing and you just don't feel like yourself. So what do? We get help. Lots of people are struggling with their mental health. It's more common than you think. The good news is there are people in our community who are here for us when times are tough. Sometimes, just talking to someone can make all the difference in the world, so we don't feel so alone. One thing you can do is visit loveyourmindtoday.org for simple steps you can take to find the right solution for you. Whether it's hearing stories about what other people are going through or finding the resources we need to navigate the stresses in our lives. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
The hurricane is causing travel issues in Florida, and it could affect the Philly airport in the days ahead. The Phillies are on the brink of elimination. They need to beat the Mets tonight or else the season is over. And a national advocacy group is using art to inspire local voters to get out for Election Day.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Calling on Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
I know it's up for me. If you still want sunshine, making sure I'm not in too deep. If you still want sunshine.
So former President Donald J. Trump in Pennsylvania, 2 stops, and the last stop is a big rally in Reading, PA. Beautiful day for it. A lot of people questioning, and as well, I should say, we'll have some of the coverage of Liz Cheney and Alyssa Farron-Griffiths. She's here, The View, one of the View hosts, and other women there in Montgomery County. A lot of people talking about FEMA, so I was looking up the funding, how FEMA funding compares to Ukraine aid, since that's a topic. So $60 billion. We in America, since 2022, providing $60 billion with a B for weapons and security to Ukraine. This is according to the Associated Press. So I'm not looking at any right-leaning media for this. And so $60 billion. And then I know that the Biden administration recently announced an additional $2.4 billion in assistance for Ukraine. That list goes on. But I think they're vowing more than $100 million to the flood-ravaged, storm-ravaged areas. I think that moving forward, they will allocate this. It's going to be very costly, obviously, to try to repair all of these 6 states, including Florida, now getting hit for the second time.
I was sent a video from someone in Sarasota or nearby that was affected by the first hurricane, Helene, and they just had washers, dryers out at the curb, and with wind speeds of now it's a Category 4. Wind speeds of 145 miles per hour. But when you have heavy objects sitting out there on the streets because people had to clean out their flood-ravaged houses after Helene, it's gonna be a nightmare down there. Hopefully things, the storm calms down before it hits and all. But again, it's currently sitting at a Category 4 with 145 mile per hour winds.
Prayers for our relatives and friends in Florida. As far as the comparison from Ukraine, as far as FEMA, Congress funds them, appropriated nearly $19 billion in annual funding. Okay, but we know that for the new fiscal year, October 1st, I think that's what Bob in South Jersey wanted to talk about. Because as I had said, the new fiscal year started October 1st. Hey, Bob.
Good morning, Dawn. Actually, the last day is September 30th. So the fiscal year for the following year starts October 1st. So how do you run out of money in a matter of days?
And so technically, obviously, did our government, quote unquote, run out of money? The issue is Congress has to appropriate all of the budgets. And so they gave them, moving forward, October 1st, they said you're going to get $20 billion in disaster relief funds. But then Mayorkas speaking out, that's when they caught Mayorkas, I think, off guard. He was speaking exactly to your point, but he was saying the $20 billion that they just allocated October 1st still needs to go to disaster relief victims from the past 10 months. That they're still, because FEMA, it's a bureaucracy, and they're still assessing.
Bureaucracy.
Yes.
Do we ever get the right answers, and is there ever accountability? The answer is no.
Well, and I mean, I think that's what's being called into question, to your exact point. Where did they spend the money? And that's why I had looked up Again, Congressional Budget Office, anybody can look it up. They're nonpartisan, and they're a watchdog group, and there are Democrats locally involved in that. And I'm telling you that they even said, as they fact-checked it, they said, yes, indeed, this is where, all of these billions of federal dollars they were allocated, right, to go to the border crisis, which could have been prevented. Is that true? Yes, it is true. I'm looking up the numbers for you, but I think you're asking the bigger point that with leadership, and this goes back to Congress too. This is not
leadership.
Just, right? It's leadership.
We haven't had leadership in 4 years.
Yeah. And that's just it, Bob. To your point, I think what Trump, and the reason that the swamp does not like Trump is that when he sees some of this stuff, what does he do? I mean, he holds it, he talks to the media. He exposes, right? And he exposes the swamp. And he goes, I got the budget right here, and then they don't like that. And nobody's ever done that before. And so he calls it out. And Trump, remember, in many instances, if we go back, he would actually make them all crazy because he would say, oh, yeah, they say their budget's tight. Well, I found $20 billion over here, $20 billion over there. Why can't they allocate that? And the swamp does not appreciate that. So I think.
God bless you, Dawn. God bless your family.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
Everybody else, and first everybody in North Carolina.
It's so true.
Hope they make it out.
I'm
definitely decent.
I know, just like so many of you, I have family and friends in South Florida, as they brace for what could be the storm of the century. And I don't say that lightly because I was working in television news when that, Bolaris made that claim. Remember, we don't even say storm of the century because I think of John Bolaris. But the truth is, this may very well be one. With lives at stake. So our prayers and our thoughts are with them. And then when you look up at the media, what are they talking about? They're not talking about these victims, still without power across the South, or those bracing in Florida. What are they talking about? Well, Trump, he misspoke when he said about FEMA. That's what they want to talk about because they don't want to talk about what's happening and what's real. And I hope that
truth have no bearing on them.
Yeah. Seek and ye shall find. So I just say seek the truth. Bob, thank you. God bless. But it's so important that we just talk about what is going on and just fact check it. Go to Congressional Budget Office. Look at what they're talking about. And it's actually an interesting, I know I'm wonky like this. I love to research this stuff. And then that's why I save you time, I guess. But I will tell you that, there are sites fact checking all of this. What have we given to Ukraine? Well, by the minimum, this is the AP talking about $60 billion. The entire FEMA budget doesn't even make that. And so do we have the money? Of course, we're a rich country, but what it means is that FEMA goes to Congress. It's like a Cuba Gooding Jr. moment where they say, show me the money. And so we get the bill. Okay? We get that bill. Dom Giordano, we get the bill.
All the time, Dawn. By the way, if federal employees were a population, say they were a state, which state would they rank? We'll reveal that. And it's important with all this FEMA stuff, how many drones we have working in the federal government. In addition to that, Dawn, Michael Watley, I don't know that Republicans are doing a good enough job. He's on at 1:30 at locking down point by point how bad it is in North Carolina. I know that we have the media bias. They have to break through with that. It is a winner.
Dom Giordano Show. It's another great one, and it starts right now.
Are you looking for a place to call home? Say hello to hassle-free home loans with American Heritage Credit Union. Our team will guide you through every step, from pre-approval with mortgage rates lower than the national average to closing. And with the MyCU Home Connection program through American Heritage, you can unlock exclusive benefits, including a $500 lender credit, cash rewards, and discount when you buy or sell a home. Visit AmericanHeritageCU.org/home connection to learn more. Insured by NCUA. Not a member? Join today. NMLS 433838.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids.